This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It's the After Party live on a Friday, which means we get to welcome in Tim Sika to talk movies. I'm super excited about it. As always, what is the classic movie recommendation of the week? We will find out. Thank you for being here and thank you for your patience. It is a week wrap-up of the Mark Thompson Show. Huge thank you to Michael Shore for hosting the show. He'll be back on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, so it's going to be great. But today, I thought we might talk about a story that I was sent by Rhonda. It turns out Rhonda has some mad producing skills. So Rhonda sends me this story, and I think the pictures are pretty cool, and the implications are pretty interesting. And it is the story of the Boston Harbor. And there are some new pictures taken that have been released about the geologic wonders in the Boston Harbor. The images released by NASA shows this geologic wonder hidden underneath the water. They're the Drumlin Islands, and they were shaped by glaciers more than 20,000 years ago. Scientists captivated by these pictures. They were taken by this operational land imager called Landsat 8, and they reveal these islands that a lot of people are not really aware of. It's part of a study that has been done by NASA Earth Observatory, which highlight the significance of these Drumlin Islands. And they were formed during the Wisconsin glaciation. The glaciers formed them into this series of elongated hills, and the height of this icy period saw these massive glaciers move up to a mile that were blanketing the land, and now that form the Boston Harbor Islands National State Park. As the glaciers retreated, they left behind these piles of sediment and debris, and that is what formed the Drumlin Islands. And they are considered among the most unique geological features on Earth. There are only two other known Drumlin fields found worldwide. The other one is in Clew Bay, Ireland. There's a small formation in Canada, and then you have the Drumlin Islands in the Boston Harbor as well. The story indicates that these aren't just geological marvels, they actually represent a moment that's frozen in time, that is forever etched into the landscape of the Boston Harbor. It's so interesting. There's historical significance as well. These four of these islands can be accessed by car. The others you have to get to by a ferry or a private boat. And there's an effort to preserve the history and the beauty of this region. So, this is also considered to be a natural laboratory for climate change and studies of the ecosystem in this area. This is a diverse ecosystem with salt marshes and tidal pools, really vulnerable to rising sea levels, plants and animals that could face significant challenges as we see the sea levels rise in this area. Here's another map of it. You can see the four islands here. Fort Warren, Boston Light, Paddocks Island, the Long Island, that are all, some of them underwater, some of them poking right above the water. Anyway, the new pictures are pretty cool. Okay, the next story I want to show you, and really the only reason to do this story is because this owlet is so cute. Look at him. This little owlet was rescued by the police. This happened in Clearwater, Florida, so it's a perfect story for a Friday. This baby Screech owlet, was rescued from a busy Florida parking lot by this Florida sheriff's deputy who apparently came ready to play. Look, he's got his thing on his arm, his glove out there so he doesn't get all scratched up. See, this is how you rescue a bird. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office says this deputy was the one to spot this eastern screech owlet in the path of vehicle traffic in this parking lot in Clearwater, Florida. Saw this little baby owl and thought that won't do. The deputy first moved this owlet to a safer location nearby and then observed the area for some time. So kept watch over this little owlet to see if a parent owl would return for their baby. But when no adult appeared, despite the morning hour for this nocturnal owl, this sheriff said it was time to call in the pros. So out came the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission officer who took the owlet to a raptor rehabilitation center for care. The officer says, listen, if you find young wildlife that appears to be orphaned, the first thing to do is observe it from a distance because often the parents are nearby. But if the animal is in immediate danger, like this owlet was in this parking lot, safely moving it nearby may be appropriate as well. So I just think that owl was so cute. I'll zoom in so you can see the picture on this baby screech owl's face. Because, oh my goodness, look how cute. Let's see if I can zoom in on this picture anymore. Oh, no, I can't. No, not possible. So adorable, though, right? Gosh, how cute is that owl? All right. Well, At the Movies with Tim Sika is coming up as we then check out this baby Screech Owl. And he's got some great movies to talk to us about. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about this interesting statistic on loneliness. You would think perhaps that when it comes to being lonely, that possibly it would affect more seniors. But the latest statistics on loneliness are maybe a little more confusing than that. Uh, the information, let me take our owl down. I don't want to, but I will. Speaking of loneliness, it's more common among middle-aged people than seniors. That loneliness among seniors has been this really huge concern because social isolation increases the risk of dementia and other health problems. We've done stories on this before, right? But this new study suggests that at least here in the United States, the concern has been misplaced, that it's middle-aged people that experience more loneliness than seniors. This is a new study that's published in the journal Aging and Mental Health. The researchers are reporting that the Netherlands is the only other country where loneliness is actually more concentrated among the middle-aged than seniors. And they looked at 64,000 people in 29 different countries. Researchers say that there's this general perception, right? That as people get older, they get lonelier as they age. But the opposite is true in the United States, where middle-aged people are lonelier than the older generations. This from Emory University at the Rollins School of Public Health. And the thought is that advocacy and interventions to address loneliness have historically focused on the older adults and maybe people that are in their adolescent years as well. But we leave the middle-aged people out of the equation altogether. It's a critical population that is lonely, that is being overlooked. So for this study, the researchers looked at data and surveys conducted in Europe and the Middle East and North America that included this 3-question loneliness scale that had been developed at UCLA. And the results did show that loneliness increases generally with age. The US loneliness was reported more often among people in their 50s and early 60s. So let's be there for each other, right? This is one of the reasons that I make sure to spend time with people like Tim Sika every week so that we don't get lonely. We can hang out with each other. At the Movies with Tim Sika. Don't be lonely, Tim.
All right, I promise not to be.
Why?
No, are you, do you
Yeah.
ever feel lonely? I never feel lonely.
Mm.
I like being with people, but I feel really good when I'm by myself. It's a nice
Yeah, I
feeling.
like it is a nice feeling. There are some times after my kids go to bed and
Yeah,
I have I'm working on the shows late at night and I have the moment to myself and it's like a relief.
yeah,
Now, I'm
yeah,
different though because I'm constantly surrounded by kids and people who want something from me,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that's different than if maybe you have a more quiet household and you're alone all the time. I could see that
yeah.
maybe that would be a different situation.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
think living alone
Mhm.
could be tough. Yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, your mind goes nutty when you're alone
Yeah.
too often or too much. I think. I
Mhm.
mean, when it's good to have the it's good to have the stimulation, right? And I'm the same. I mean, I see people all the time. I'm out doing this and that, and when I come home, it's like, I
Yeah.
love being
Uh-huh.
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Uh-huh.
feels so good.
Or when I have time to pick up a book or time to read an article
Yeah.
that I wanted to read that I haven't had a chance all day to do because I'm doing stuff for other people. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah. We're on the
Oh,
same page about that for sure.
well, let's move into these big movies that we have. The first one you have
Okay.
for us is
Uh,
called The Accountant 2. Are you not liking this one or what do you
well,
think?
I'm cranky today. I realized, I
Oh,
thought before I come on there, I thought I got to get out of this cranky mood because I'm really cranky about these movies.
um,
I bet if you had to guess what I thought about the accountant too, you probably could guess, but I'm going to try to be fair to this movie. Okay, this is an action thriller follow-up to 2016's The Accountant,
mhm.
where Ben Affleck, he returns. He plays this autistic accountant, the CPA of the title, who makes his living sanitizing fraudulent financial and accounting records of criminal and terrorist organizations, right, that are experiencing this internal embezzlement. In other words, he launders money for some of the most dangerous criminals in the world. That's his job. And he's autistic. So that's kind of
Mm.
an interesting and an unusual premise.
Yeah.
Well, he and the original creative team, the director Gavin O'Connor and the writer Bill Dubuque, and several of the cast members from the first one return in this twisty, tonally all over the place sequel. The premise of which this one is that this Ben Affleck's character of Christian Wolf, the autistic accountant, he's contacted to solve the murder of this government official played by J.K. Simmons, who's back in this movie. But, he gets killed pretty early on in the film. That's not a spoiler because you see that in the trailers. Anyway, it's an okay movie. If you love to go to the movies to be entertained, it reasonably succeeds. It's kind of fairly intelligent. It's an intelligent distraction.
Oh.
But the actors are good. The pace of the film is pretty nimble. It moves at a nice clip. The story's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, but you're not really supposed to think about the story too much. Um, but I'm all during this, I'm going, why am I supposed to be invested in all of this? And who really cares about these people, these characters? To me, this is just more Hollywood IP to go alongside all of the other action and superhero IPs that really serve now as the bread and butter of the film industry.
Mhm.
And if this film's successful, you can bet your bottom dollar that there'll be an Accountant 3. But for me, honestly, I just, who cares really? I mean, to me, time, the older I get, time is such a precious
Uh-huh.
commodity. It's gold. And every time I see movies like this, I'm reminded of that because watching movies like this makes me think, okay, fine. This is an entertainment distraction. Fine,
Mhm.
but I don't need this kind of entertainment
Yeah.
distraction. And there go 2 hours of my life I'm never going to get back. I don't know. What am I trying to say? Look, if this is your thing, I say have at it, enjoy it, have a great time. If you care, by all means, check it out. But for me, I could care less. These movies, with all due respect, are just a waste of time for me.
Mhm.
It's just more of the same stuff that you
Yeah.
see all the time. And if you want more of the same, yeah. But did we really need this movie? This is the thing. Yes, according to the bean counters we did, meaning all the numbers added up, it looked like a surefire moneymaker. And yeah, I mean, it reminded me yet again that the studios are now more beholden than ever to the multinational corporations who own them. And the bottom line, money is what they want more, in my opinion. They're more interested in money than they are in making good movies, or just more interesting movies. For all of the flaws of the old-timey studios and the moguls who ran them, at least those guys were filmmakers and loved movies. Yeah, they treated films as a business because they were a business, but they felt if you made quality for people, top-notch stuff, then the money would follow. And I mean, I know it's a different time, but Hollywood now, it's all just about the bottom line. And this movie to me reeks of that.
Yeah.
And I just, you know what? I saw it a couple of days ago, and it made me cranky, and I'm still cranky for having sat through the thing in the first place. It's over 2 hours too.
They really rubbed you the wrong way. They really hit a nerve, Tim Sika.
Yeah, and I'm in the minority on this. The critics are going bonkers over it. Whatever. I don't get it.
All right,
so,
we'll move. Go ahead.
I'm going to try and be less cranky as we go along here, but I'm not promising anything.
I don't know. I kind of like cranky Tim. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you don't mind.
Let's do Neighborhood Watch.
Yeah.
This was a crime thriller, you said.
Kind of. This was a movie that, well, not a great movie, maybe not even a good one. It had enough interesting stuff in it I'm going to recommend this movie because, I don't want to be a total crank this week, but it's called Neighborhood Watch, and it's a kind of combo crime thriller comedy drama buddy movie picture. And it's about this young guy played by Jack Quaid, who's to the left in the poster. He's an actor who seems to be popping up in just about every movie I'm seeing these days. He plays this character. He has this mental illness, which he's trying to manage on a daily basis. He's always trying to balance his meds and stuff, and he's really struggling. Nobody will hire him because of his past. He hasn't worked for 10 years. And one day he witnesses this abduction of this woman in an alley. But when he tries to report it, the police don't believe him. They run a check on him, and his mental illness and his minor rap sheet pop up on the computer. So they just go, this guy's nuts. So in a last-ditch attempt to get somebody to help him, he kind of reluctantly turns to his next-door neighbor, who's played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who's a really good actor. He's in the poster there to the right, who's this kind of cantankerous and bitter retired security guard to kind of help him find this missing woman. So they go on this journey, this trek, the two of them. And this is a dark movie because it also deals with human sex trafficking, parental abuse, and mental illness. But it's kind of played with a light touch, kind of. I saw it and I watched it as a comedy. And while I think the film doesn't necessarily move the needle in terms of cinema, it was a weirdly easy watch. Maybe because it seemed to be like playing like a comedy, even though it wasn't really funny, not very funny at all. The script twists and turns, require you to look the other way sometimes, and you're going, really, this is happening now? Seriously, this character is now doing what? But the narrative is very breezy. It flows along. The actors are very, very good, and there is this kind of emotional payoff at the end that's kind of satisfying, weirdly enough. I like this movie. It doesn't mean I think it's the best movie ever made. I'm still wondering if it's even a good one, but I enjoyed it to the extent that I can recommend it. It's just a kind of a easygoing, fun watch that deals with a lot of dark issues and dark themes. It's playing in theaters, select Bay Area theaters, and it drops on VOD at the same time. So you can go to the theater to see it if you want, or you can rent it at home. Check it out.
This next one is a Korean crime drama, and I'm interested, if only because of the name. It's called Bang the Snitch.
Yeah, well, this was a kind of a nice surprise. You said it's a Korean film. It's in Korean with English subtitles, and boy, they come on the screen fast and furious, so you really have to pay attention. It's called Yedang the Snitch. It's a Korean drug crime drama movie. And at the outset, I should explain that in the context of Korean criminal slang. Yadang refers to people who act as brokers or informants, typically providing information about drug crimes to law enforcement. They often do this to avoid prosecution or get lighter sentences, and they sometimes make money in the process. So, and apparently this is all going on in Korean drug culture. So having said that, this movie is about this guy played by this very charismatic South Korean actor I've never seen before. His name is Kang Ha-Newell, I think. And in the movie, he's set up, the character that he plays is set up by these drug dealers, and he's falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit. He still does sketchy things, but anyway, this is very, very serious, and he's sent to prison. And while he's in prison, he's offered this deal by this state prosecutor to become a yadang. Again, a yadang is basically an informant or an undercover operative. And he's offered this deal in exchange for a reduced sentence, right? So he takes the deal, and he really shakes up the prosecutor's drug investigations, which bring the prosecutor a lot of prestige and notoriety. But concurrently, he also really pisses off the heads of the cartels, who want nothing more than to just set fire to this guy, literally. Anyway. So yeah, I don't want to, no spoilers. So this is a very interesting, agreeably entertaining, adrenaline-fueled kind of gateway into the Korean drug scene. I mean, and it's a portrait. I liked it because I like movies that are portraits of the fine line between the law abider, the law enforcer, and the law breaker. It really looks at like how sometimes, the people on the right side of the law do sketchy things that really should be putting them on the wrong side of the law. I like these kinds of movies, and there's no heroes and no villains in this movie for the most part. They're just human beings rationalizing their behaviors in this sea of personal and institutionalized corruption. I mean, everybody appears to be corrupt in this movie, even the so-called good guys. So I like that. It's a violent film. It's a fast-paced film. It's kind of exhilarating in this viscerally sick kind of way. There is plot to burn. Most of it is tangled, but there's plot to burn. For the most part, I liked it. It's a story of mistrust and double dealings and betrayals and people selling other people out at the drop of a hat for personal gain. There's just layers of corruption operating within the story, and on balance, I recommend it. And if you don't mind the subtitles, on the print that I watched, the English translation was a bit sticky at times. I mean, it seemed like whoever's ever translating it was not. You get enough, but on balance, I think the movie more than provides like most of the deliverables to diehard fans of Korean crime dramas. So, I'm recommending it. It was sent to me by a publicist. I probably would not have even heard about it, but it does open in theaters today. I was glad to see it and glad to recommend it.
Well, we'll now move to this one. This is already on my list, so I'm really looking forward to what you think about it. It's called The Legend of Ochi.
Yeah, this is by far the best film I've seen this week of all the new releases. Certainly, it's the most original, it's the most artistic, and the one that stayed with me the most long after having viewed it. It's called The Legend of Ochi. It stars Willem Dafoe and Emily Watson. They play these estranged parents of this young farm girl who's taught from day one of her life to be afraid of these creatures, these reclusive creatures. They're also kind of scary looking, known as the Ochi. And one day she's out walking. She's sent out by her father to check animal traps, and she happens upon this lost, frightened, and injured baby Ochi that she makes a deep connection with. And so despite what she's been taught, she's determined to return this baby to its family. So this is a very odd but very different and strangely affecting drama fantasy, which is hard to put into words. Oh, look at the baby Ochi.
I liked it a lot.
I think I liked it because, number one, it wasn't even remotely what I expected, and two, the coda of the film just knocked me sideways emotionally. I was an emotional wreck when this movie was over, and
Really?
I didn't want to. I tried to avoid. I went to a critic screening, and the rep for the film, they always want to get your immediate reaction, and I tried to avoid the publicist because I didn't want her to see that I was like crying. But she grabbed me, and I said, I really love this. I loved it. I'm a wreck. It was really good. We'll talk later. Anyway, I think it's this movie has like a resonance with a capital R on this deep and spiritual level. That's the big thing this movie's got going for it. The ending is a bigger emotional wipeout. At least it was for me, and more organically satisfying than the ending of E.T., which never fails to make me cry, that movie. And as a critic, I think this is what I find most impressive about this movie was its singularity of vision. And by that, I mean, okay, what it does, Kim, is it takes all of these cliches and archetypes that are in essence careworn and cliched and images that we're all familiar with. You look at the surface of this movie and you look at the photo there and you think, oh, it's going to be like E.T. Oh, it's going to be like the Dark Crystal. Oh, it's Gremlins. Mm-hmm. But it takes all of these cliches and it transcends them. Or no, it puts them together in such a way that's hard to put your finger on as to create something wholly different and original. Star Wars did that too, masterfully. Even George Lucas has said, this is an homage in a way to the old Flash Gordon movie serials. It was a load of cliches put together in a way that in effect created something distinct, wholly original and new. And that's this movie. You may think, oh, it's going to be cute like E.T. Well, that kind of does the movie a disservice. It's a very different, strangely moving motion picture and touching with this. I think it has a 21st century message underneath all of it about our connection to nature, to other living creatures, to each other, and to all the real stuff that unites us as a species. I found it amazing. I found it wondrous. I thought it was magical. It's really a work of art. And so to anybody listening or watching right now, if they had to choose one movie to see this week, I say make it The Legend of O.G. This is the movie to see. This is the movie. And if you have kids,
that's my question.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because if you're crying at the end of the movie, I'm thinking, I have an emotional kid who's really sensitive. So is this the movie that I'm wanting to?
Yeah, I would say yeah, because it's emotionally satisfying. It's not depressing. It's just deeply moving how this movie sorts out all of its plot stuff. And I'm going, and it's just
you got me with The Legend of O.G. I have to go.
Yeah, you have to go. And I hope I'm not overselling it. I'm just trying to express how it occurred to me. I just thought it was amazing, and it's so original. And the guy that made it, his name is Isaiah Saxon. He wrote and directed. He's actually from Santa Cruz. This is his feature film directorial debut. I got an opportunity to interview him, and he's the real deal. He's a true artist. I cannot believe he made this movie this way in this accountant 2 culture of cinema that we're all living through. It's amazing that he made this movie and that it turned out so well. I just loved it. I'm recommending it to everybody that asks me, what's a good movie to see. It opens today. So, and I hope it does well. It's different. I think some of the critics, when I was talking to Isaiah, he said some of the critics aren't getting it. I haven't read any of the reviews because I didn't want to be influenced by any of that. When I saw it, I saw it stone cold before I really knew anything about it. So he's like, well, so admittedly, he even admits it's a different kind of movie. But yes, if you go, you absolutely have to let me know what you thought of it and what your kids thought of it too.
Well, I'm looking at this is Ochi. Is this
He's
the
so
name?
cute.
He's adorable, but I have to say, Ochi looks like a furry blue Yoda. And so
Yoda, yeah. To me he looks like one of the Maugways in Gremlins, one of the cute ones, not that ones with the teeth. But yeah, Yoda too. Of course.
So
and the eyes.
I
The
see the
eyes look
Yoda
like it.
eyes, I
Yeah,
see the
yeah.
Yoda ears, and I'm
Ears.
hoping that the Legend of Ochi people don't get sued by the Star Wars people for, for the
I'm
Oda
sure.
silhouette.
Well, yeah. Well, it's an A24 release. I'm sure they went through all their legal checks and stuff before they, were confident enough to release this
Mhm.
picture. But yeah, Yoda. I didn't even think of Yoda. See, but this movie is its own, no pun intended. It's own animal. It's
Okay.
totally. Yeah, it's like, yeah, in a way you've seen it before, but you've never really seen it before, not until you've seen
Mhm.
this movie. It's just, this movie killed me in a good
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Trevor thinks it looks like a tarsier. Tarsier?
What's a tarsier?
I have to look it up now.
Trevor? Yeah, we really need to look it up. Yeah.
Nullifidian says it reminds me of the cute little guys on Galaxy Quest. I haven't seen
Okay.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, like I
Yeah.
say, it's a kind of like a cliche. It's like, yeah, it's reminiscent of a lot of things we've
Mhm.
seen before. But
And maybe
oh, and
that's
the
what they were going for, right?
yeah, well, and the
Yeah.
other thing too is they didn't use any CGI in the it was all like puppetry. There's on IMDb I ran across this little trailer about the film, and they were showing how they gave life to this little Ochi. There were like 8 people. It's like what Jim Henson did. It's like they had 8 people on the puppet, some manipulating the arms, and there were 2 others that were manipulating the facial expressions. So they were like, actually the puppeteers were creating a performance when they shot this. There's no CGI. I mean, there's some CGI
Oh.
in the what do you call it, the background scenes and
Mhm.
stuff. They had to use blue screen, but
Sure.
in the things that mattered, they really did just nothing but practical effects. And Yoda was originally a practical effect too. He went CGI later, but in The Empire Strikes Back, he was a puppet. And there's just something about human beings having to contort and do
Mhm.
things to make the puppet have certain expressions and stuff. They were really puppeteers were actors in this movie. It's
Yeah.
fascinating story behind the making of the movie too. I recommend people go online and research that. It's just a fascinating story of how this movie came to be. It's a
So
miracle that they made it, and it's so good, so
so
good.
here's the baby Ochi, and
Yeah.
here's a Targier.
Oh yeah. Okay, but the eyes. Look at the Targier's eyes are kind of weird.
Yeah. I don't know. The ears
They're,
are not quite Yoda-ish. They stick up too much, but I could see the resemblance. I could
yeah,
see
there
why you
is
would think it.
there is a resemblance.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. I know. He's really cute.
I
All right.
wanted one of those. I wanted an Ochi when this movie was over. Like, where can I adopt an Ochi? Well, they're not real. So
Is this by Disney? Are we going to see people walking around with Ochis on their shoulder, the magnetic Ochis, or?
I don't know, but it's funny. I interviewed the director and the
Mhm.
representative from A24 when I left. He gave me a book with some background information on the movie, and he handed me this fake set of teeth that figure into the movie, and I know people are going to be walking around with these like fake teeth. That I do know,
Okay.
because that's
Okay.
one of the tchotchkes that they're handing out for this movie. I don't know if there's going to be anything else, but
You can't see his teeth in the picture here.
no, you can't, because that's when he isn't cute when he shows his teeth.
Mm-mm.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I have a set. I wish no, I don't have them with me. I should have thought to bring them on so I could have shown them anyway.
Tim's classic movie recommendation of the week is a movie that was made in 1954. We're rolling it back to The Country Girl. Look at that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't, and it's got Grace Kelly in it and Bing
Great.
Crosby.
Yeah, this
Wow.
is a superb drama from 1954, as you said. It's hard to believe that this movie came out 71 years ago. It's based on a Clifford Odets play with drums beating and cinematic flags waving. Boasts this amazing cast: Bing Crosby, Grace Kelly, and William Holden, all of whom they just explode on the screen individually and collectively in a story. This is a story about an alcoholic has-been actor who's given one last chance to resurrect his career. And I could be wrong about this, Kim, but I believe, and I should have checked my sources on this. If anybody out there knows better, maybe they can respond in the comments. But I believe this may be the first Hollywood drama that seriously examined codependency in alcoholic marriages. Bing Crosby plays the alcoholic actor. Grace Kelly, in an Oscar-winning performance as Best Actress from 1954, she plays the long-suffering wife. And William Holden, they're all in the photo there, that plays the theater director who's determined to give this alcoholic actor a second chance, not only at his career, but at life. And watching this movie again the other day, I know this sounds very curmudgeonly when I say this, but watching it again, I mean, you're struck by the fact that not only do they not make movies like this anymore, but in my opinion, nobody would even know how to make a movie like this anymore. There's a quality to it, certainly in terms of its scripting, its adaptation, because they had to adapt this play to the screen and make it appear to be like a movie. Its trio of performances that is really a thing of the past. I mean, Hollywood used to go, to the great playwrights and the great authors and to Broadway to get their material. Now it's the other way around. Broadway goes to Hollywood to make theatrical musical adaptations of Hollywood's mediocre movies. But that's another conversation. But anyway, back to The Country Girl. We don't hear much about this movie today, except for the fact that Grace Kelly beat out Judy Garland that year in the Oscar race for Best Actress. And I agree with the pundits. I think it should have been Judy's year. She was sublime in A Star Is Born. It was an amazing comeback for her after 4 years away from the screen. But Kelly is quite good. And for me, it's one of those wins where, okay, if it couldn't be Garland, then it was okay for the Academy to give it to Kelly. I had forgotten, or maybe I hadn't even realized, that she was only 24 when she made this picture. She had a very short film career, basically 6 years, from 1950 to 1956, after which, she went off to Monaco to become a princess. But she only made something like 13 movies. And in this one, one of the most beautiful women ever to appear in movies, was coming off all of these glamour parts. She was in 3 Hitchcock pictures that same year, I think. Rear Window, To Catch a Thief, Dial M for Murder, all of which played on her beauty and chic and style. And in this, she totally deglammed. And for her age, she was 24. She delivered a remarkable portrait of this exhausted, beaten down by life woman. And also watching it again, I always thought this was, in my memory, was Kelly's picture, but it's really Bing Crosby's, who is astonishing in his role as Frank Elgin, this broken alcoholic trying to make a career comeback, but still, fighting his own alcoholism. It is a great movie. And it's streaming on Prime. I think everybody should watch it. If you've never seen it, prepare to be dazzled.
Oh, okay. You've got me convinced. I love how much you love this movie. Let's recap it all. The Accountant 2. Oh no. Well, this one really set Tim off. He said it's an okay movie. You called it an intelligent distraction, which actually seems kind of good, but then you said the story is ridiculous and you couldn't get involved or invested in these characters. And you said, who cares? It's a waste of time. It's more the same. And then you said, don't even bother. But if you like this kind of movie, if you want more of the same, then this is the movie for you. That's The Accountant 2. It set Tim in a bad mood this week. And so for that reason alone, we don't like The Accountant 2. This next movie is called Neighborhood Watch. And you said it's got some good acting in this movie. Satisfying ending. You liked it. You enjoyed it to the point that you could recommend it. You said it's a fun watch despite the dark issues involved in The Neighborhood Watch. The next one is called Ya Dang the Snitch, the Korean crime drama. You said it's got subtitles that move pretty fast, but it raises some interesting ethical questions. It's violent, it's fast-paced, but you liked it. So you say if you don't mind the subtitles here, then this movie is worth it. And so this is Ya Dang the Snitch. The best movie you saw this week is called The Legend of Ochi. You said it's original and artistic. It has a resonance, you said, on a deep spiritual level, which is interesting for a family movie. You said the ending of this movie is more satisfying than the ending of E.T. It
Yeah.
takes cliches and makes something original and distinct and strangely moving. You called this movie a magical work of art. That is The Legend of Ochi. And I want to have that little picture. And
Elegy.
Eulogy. And the last one, your classic movie recommendation of the week is The Country Girl. And I love your knowledge of the history of this movie. You said it's just an amazing cast and a superb movie. And it's streaming. What did you say, on Amazon Prime? So
Yes,
it's a
on
movie,
Prime. Yes.
a movie we have to watch. It is The Country Girl from 1954, Tim Sika's classic movie recommendation of the week. There we have it. That's the
Sounds
recap, my
good.
friend.
Yeah. Great recap, Kim. Great
Boy,
recap. Yeah.
you've been busy this week. Great movie reviews, Tim. Thank you
Oh,
so much for sharing.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And I guess we'll talk again next week.
We will. You send us off into the weekend with some good things to watch at the movies with Tim Sika. Bye, Tim.
Bye, Kim.
Bye. Love it. Okay, so now we know we're watching The Country Girl, and we're watching The Legend of Ochi, right? Is that what on everyone's list this week? I don't know how you hear Tim talk about The Legend of Ochi and everything he said about it and not want to go, oh God, I got to see this movie. Yeah. Susan Roberts says, thanks, Tim, and I don't plan to see any movie that you don't love. You know, when you find someone, a movie critic, and you start watching the movies that they recommend and you realize that you kind of have the same vibe as them, then you start to trust that person because they kind of get you. Like you feel like you're on the same wavelength. That's Tim Sika. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. One of my favorite old movies is Cool Hand Luke. Well, maybe that'll be on Tim's list coming up. I don't know. We'll see if he liked that one. Rear Window, an absolute classic. Disturbia is a great adaptation, says Trevor Starr. All right. A lot of love for Tim. So, yeah, Ochi sounds intriguing, says Delette. It does sound intriguing. The cute Ochi that we saw in the picture doesn't really compute with the bites, but I know that's what, the cute gremlin was like that too until it got wet or after midnight, and then it turned into something else. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing that movie. Anyway, thank you. And thanks to Tim for coming on the show as well. All right, let's jump back into some of the other stories I have for you. And I know it's getting late, but I did want to talk about this medication that's actually dangerous. And I thought this was important to mention just in case. So if you know anyone who maybe is losing their hair is thinning, and they're spraying something on their head. Okay, if you know anyone like that, this is a story for you to pay attention to. The FDA is warning that this unapproved hair loss product called finasteride is tied to some unfortunate side effects. This drug is approved in the pill form, but it is not approved in the topical spray version. And it's often sold by these telehealth companies like Hims and Keeps and Row. This, according to the Wall Street Journal. So the pill form of finasteride is Propecia. Okay, that's FDA approved to treat hair loss. But the spray version is not approved and apparently has some side effects that put some people at risk. And regulators say right now there is no FDA approved topical formulation of finasteride. That compounded topical finasteride products do not have FDA approved labeling, and there are potential serious risks associated with the use of this spray on type of product. What are the risks? Well, apparently, erectile dysfunction. There is anxiety, suicidal ideation, brain fog, depression, fatigue, insomnia, decreased libido, and testicular pain. The FDA also says this spray could pose a risk to other people, especially women, that maybe if even men are using it, if they're near a woman, finasteride can cause birth defects in male babies. So women are being advised don't even come into contact with this stuff at all. Some of the users told the FDA their doctors told them the spray wouldn't cause side effects, that online health companies are allowed to sell this stuff through something called compounding pharmacies. They create drugs when patients need alternative to FDA approved medications, and that is legal, but the companies are not held to the same advertising standards as drug makers that sell their products in a more traditional format. The that is clear here when you talk about this type of side effect. So, anyone spraying this stuff on their head, you heard it here on the After Party Live. Make sure you stop them from doing that and say, "Hey, did you know?" Huh. So, just in case you do know someone that is doing that might need more information, I'll post the link to the story so that you can share it just in case you need to share it. All right. You can pass it on to your people. I'm going to go into the chat and share this link with you. Here it is. Yeah. Stay away from that stuff. All right. Shall we end the show on kind of a more wacky note? Look at all those minions. I wouldn't necessarily think this looks like a world record minion collection, but it is. This lady is in Australia. She said she just thought these minions spoke to her in some way, that they're so cute. She said, I remember laughing so much at the cute little pill-shaped henchmen. They made a big impression on me. She said, I'm just a big kid at heart, and since then, I've always been on the lookout for minions everywhere I go. She said, my daughter says I need another house just to store my minions, but she said, I love being surrounded by their beautiful, bright yellow smiles. They are in every room, they are on every spare wall. And she also says this woman, her name is Liesel. Liesel is a resident of Australia, and she's put together this collection of minions. She said that most people would look at the minions and they all look alike, right? That you maybe wouldn't have a favorite because you think one minion is the same as the other, but she's got a favorite. Her favorite is Stuart. He's a sassy, one-eyed minion, and she actually has Stuart tattooed on her arm. She said so many people and kids comment on her minion tattoo that then it opens up a conversation and we start talking about our mutual love of minions, and on it goes. And she says, I will never stop buying minions to bring home to join my minion family. She said, my daughter thinks I have enough, but I love them more than ever and I will not stop. How many minions does she have, you ask? Well, I have the answer. 1,035 minions. And that is enough to get Liesel from Australia the Guinness World Record for the most minions. Yeah, there she goes. The largest collection of minion memorabilia. That's her official record title. 1,035 minions. I wonder how much money she's spent on minions over the years. Because, I don't know. And then your whole house becomes a thing, right? Minions everywhere. You've got a house theme, a minion theme. Maybe someday she'll open a minion museum. They are cute, but I don't know if I'd want to be surrounded by minions. Have you ever seen there's a video of someone doing the voiceover for minions, and it's truly amazing. Really cool. John says, my mom spent a bunch of money on Beanie Babies. Some of those are worth some money now. Oh, a minion museum. Oh, Jinx. Oh, yeah. See, you have the same idea I do. Is there a picture of her dressed as a minion? I don't think so. I don't think that I was looking for a picture of the minion tattoo that she has, but I didn't see it. Oh, Nullifidian's never seen the Minions movie. You got to see the Minions. Yeah. They are funny. They do put you in a good mood. So, regarding the Oh my God, don't run your fingers through his hair. Yeah. Regarding that, not the minions, but the medication that we talked about a moment ago, Phineas says that urologists, oncologists prescribe finasteride for BPH. I don't know what BPH is. Blood pressure or something. I don't know what BPH is, but they likely prescribe the pill form, I would imagine, and not the topical form, which is not FDA approved. At least not for balding. So I don't know. Whatever it is that it's prescribed for, or not prescribed for, stay away from it because it can, you know, it can do some pretty rotten things to you. And if you do get prescribed this topical form for something else, then I would ask your doctor about the side effects and present the story just to make sure. Then if your doctor's still prescribing it, then I would move forward with that. But yeah, no. Speaking of medical stuff, let me talk about this for a minute on the way out. You would think that if you had a peanut allergy, that it would be something that you would stay away from. We've heard that um, peanut allergies can be fatal, but there's a new thought, a new effort to expose people that are allergic to peanuts in kind of a slow way, so that so that over time they lose their allergy. That's the hope anyway. This man that had been admitted to the hospital twice for a peanut allergy is now eating 4 peanuts every morning as part of this medical trial, and it's supposed to gradually increase his exposure to peanuts and lessen his allergy. He is one of 21 people taking part in research done by King's College of London. The study was first done entirely on adults with severe allergies to test whether daily doses of peanuts taken under strict supervision, so it's not something you do by yourself, could be safely tolerated. There are other I have to say the word desensitization. That's not the word, but that's the way I'm pronouncing it. That are focused on children. These types of studies. So this one's called the Grown Up Peanut Immunotherapy Trial, and they say it seems to have some effect, that people with allergies slowly increase their daily dosage to 0.8 milligrams of peanut flour mixed in with foods. And once they could tolerate 50 to 100 milligrams of peanut protein, then they were switched to eating whole peanuts and then peanut butter and then other peanut products. And by the end of the study, founded by the National Institute for Health and Care Research, 2/3 of the people that had peanut allergies were able to eat the equivalent of 5 peanuts without reacting. There was a sense of nerves at first. I can imagine if have had a horrible reaction to peanuts in the past. They say you have to get your mind around the idea of eating something that you've been trying to avoid for your entire life, and now here it is. But some of the people involved in the study say at the point they found out about the trial, it was something they were interested in doing because they had a couple of serious incidents. So they were really willing to try to lessen their risk. In some of the cases, the people involved say this has changed their life. The idea that you would take 4 peanuts a day after breakfast, he said, is amazing. And it's something that this man says he'll be doing for the rest of his life. He says, I'm much more confident now when I go out to dinner with family or when I'm traveling, that if I have an accidental exposure to peanuts, it isn't going to cause a serious reaction like it would have. So the next step is to conduct a larger trial and identify a group of patients who would also benefit from this type of oral immunotherapy to see whether it can lead to a long-term tolerance in this age group. Yeah, we'll see. It's contrary to what you would think, but yeah. All right, well, we'll end it on the peanuts. I hope you have a really, really great weekend and make it the best weekend you can on Monday. I will be back along with Michael Schur and Gary Dietrich on the Mark Thompson Show, and I do hope that you will join me. My thanks to everyone who contributed to the Mark Thompson Show today and who contributes to this show, especially people, well, everyone, but especially people who click that monthly donation and do the PayPal. It really keeps this show going. So thank you very, very, very much. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend as well. And I'll see you back here on YouTube on Monday. But for now, bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.